Put himself in the jam, try and do it for the gram. He put himself in the jam, try and do it for the. That's why I do it for the fam. Me and Dimes in the lambs, Porsche driving on sand. Nigga, let's do it again. Gotta welcome new friends, gotta tie up loose ends. Speeding off in the Benz, pray to God I don't blend. Live life, set trends, never ever pretend. Celebrate real wins, I'm with the boys. We talking about new toys, take it back. These niggas unemployed, this shit get annoyed, but I still see joy.
Here we go. We here again. You know what I mean? One more day in paradise, man. You know what I mean? Definitely to get this good knowledge. Shit, man, how y'all feeling today? I hope everybody feeling good. You know what I mean? Read, remember, repeat. You know what I mean? Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, do all that good stuff, you know what I mean? And definitely tap in. You know what I mean? Tap in, get all that knowledge, man. You know what I mean? It's free. Money Talks. As you can see, we on chapter 15, page 334, man. Got nothing left. Nothing left. You know what I mean? But make sure you read, remember, and repeat it and read it all over again. But let's go, baby. Money Talks. Some will ask, why did you write a book about money? Why measure riches in dollars? Alone, some will believe, and rightly so, that there are other forms of riches more desirable than money. Yes, there are riches which cannot be measured in terms of dollars, but there are millions of people who will say, give me all the money I need and I will find everything else I want. The major reason why I wrote the book on how to get money is the fact that the world has but lately passed through an experience that left millions of men and women paralyzed with the fear of poverty. What this sort of fear does to one was well described by Westbrook Pegler in the New York World Telegram. Money is only clamshells or metal discs or scraps of paper, and they are treasures of the heart and soul which money cannot buy. But most people, being broke, are unable to keep this in mind and sustain their spirits. When a man is down and out and on the street, unable to get any job at all, something happens to his spirit which can be observed in the droop of his shoulders, the set of his hat, his walk, and his gaze. He cannot escape a feeling of inferiority among people with regular employment, even though he knows they are definitely not his equals in character, intelligence, or ability. These people, even his friends, feel, on the other hand, a sense of superiority and regard him, perhaps unconsciously, as a casualty. He may borrow for a time, but not enough to carry on his accustomed way, and he cannot continue to borrow for very long. But borrowing in itself, when a man is borrowing merely to live, is a depressing experience, and the money lacks the power of earned money to revive his spirits. Of course, none of this applies to bums or habitual ne'er-do-wells, but only to men of normal ambition and self-respect. Women conceal despair. Women in the same predicament must be different. We somehow do not think of women at all in considering the down and outers. They are scarce in the breadlines. They rarely are seen begging on the streets, and they are not recognizable in crowds by the same plain signs which identify busted men. Of course, I do not mean the shuffling hags of the city streets who are the opposite number of the confirmed male bums. I mean reasonably young, decent, and intelligent women. There must be many of them, but their despair is not apparent. Maybe they kill themselves. When a man is down and out, he has time on his hands for brooding. He may travel miles to see a man about a job and discover that the job is filled, or that it is one of those jobs with no base pay but only a commission on the sale of some useless knickknack which nobody would buy except out of pity. Turning that down, he finds himself back on the street with nowhere to go but just anywhere. So he walks and walks. He gazes into store windows at luxuries which are not for him, and feels inferior, and gives way to people who stop to look with an active interest. He wanders into the railroad station or puts himself down in the library to ease his legs and soak up a little heat. But that isn't looking for a job, so he gets going again. He may not know it, but his aimlessness would give him away even if the very lines of his figure did not. He may be well dressed in the clothes left over from the days when he had a steady job, but the clothes cannot disguise the droop. Money makes difference. He sees thousands of people, bookkeepers or clerks or chemists or wagon hands, busy at their work and envies them from the bottom of his soul. They have their independence, their self-respect and manhood, and he simply cannot convince himself that he is a good man. Two, though he argue it out and arrive at a favorable verdict hour after hour. It is just money which makes this difference in him. With a little money, he would be himself again. Some employers take the most shocking advantage of people who are down and out. The agencies hang out little colored cards offering miserable wages to busted men. $12 a week, $15 a week, $17 a week. Job is a plum. And anyone with $25 a week to offer does not hang the job in front of an agency on a color card. I have a want ad clipped from a local paper demanding a clerk, a good clean penman, to take telephone orders for a sandwich shop from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. for $8 a month. Not $8 a week, but $8 a month. The ad says also state religion. Can you imagine the brutal effrontery of anyone who demands a good clean penman for 11 cents an hour, inquiring into the victim's religion? But that is what busted people are offered. The fear of criticism. Just how men originally came by the fear. No one can state definitely, but one thing is certain. He has it in a highly developed form. Some believe that this fear made its appearance about the time that politics became a profession. Others believe it can be traced to the age when women first began to concern themselves with styles and wearing apparel. This author, being neither a humorist nor a prophet, is inclined to attribute the basic fear of criticism to that part of man's inherited nature which prompts him not only to take away his fellow man's goods and wares, but to justify his action by criticism of his fellow man's character. It is a well-known fact that a thief will criticize the man from whom he steals, that politicians seek office, not by playing their own virtues and qualifications, but by attempting to besmirch their opponents. The fear of criticism takes many forms, the majority of which are petty and trivial. Bald-headed men, for example, are bald for no other reason than their fear of criticism. Heads become bald because of the tight-fitting bands of hats which cut off the circulation from the roots of the hair. Men wear hats not because they actually need them, but mainly because everyone is doing it. The individual falls into line and does likewise, lest some other individual criticize him. Women seldom have bald heads or even thin hair because they wear hats which fit their heads loosely. The only purpose of the hats being adornment, but it must not be supposed that women are free from the fear of criticism. If any woman claims to be superior to man with reference to this fear, ask her to walk down the street wearing a hat of the vintage of 1890. The astute manufacturers of clothing have not been slow to capitalize on the basic fear of criticism, with which all mankind has been cursed. Every season, the styles and many articles of wearing apparel change. Who establishes the styles? Certainly not the purchaser or clothing, but the manufacturer. Why does he change the style so often? The answer is obvious. He changes the style so he can sell more clothes. For the same reason, the manufacturers of automobiles, with a few rare and very sensible exceptions, change styles of models every season. No man wants to drive an automobile which is not of the latest style, although the older model may actually be the better car. We have been describing the manner in which people behave under the influence of fear, of criticism as applied to the small and petty things of life. Let us now examine human behavior when this fear affects people in connection with the more important events of human relationship. Take, for example, practically any person who has reached the age of mental maturity, from 35 to 40 years of age as a general average. And if you could read the secret thoughts of his mind, you will find a very decided disbelief in most of the fables taught by the majority of the dogmatists and theologians a few decades back. Not often, however, will you find a person who has the courage to openly state his belief on the subject. Most people will, if pressed far enough, tell a lie rather than admit that they do not believe the stories associated with that form of religion, which held people in bondage prior to the age of scientific discovery and education. Why does the average person, even in this day of enlightenment, shy away from denying his belief in the fables, which were the basis of most of the religions a few decades ago? The answer is because of the fear of criticism. Men and women have burned at the stake for daring to express disbelief in ghosts. It is no wonder we have inherited a consciousness which makes us fear criticism. The time was, and not so far in the past, when criticism carried severe punishments. It still does in some countries. The fear of criticism robs man of his initiative, destroys his power of imagination, limits his individuality, takes away his self-reliance, and does him damage in 100 other ways. Parents often do their children irreparable injury by criticizing them. The mother of one of my boyhood chums used to punish him with a switch almost daily, always completing the job with the statement, "You'll land in the penitentiary before you are 20." He was sent to a reformatory at the age of 16. Criticism is the one form of service of which everyone has too much. Everyone has a stock of it, which is handed out gratis, whether called for or not. One's nearest relatives often are the worst offenders. It should be recognized as a crime. In reality, it is a crime of the worst nature for any parent to build inferiority complexes in the mind of a child through unnecessary criticism. Employers who understand human nature get the best there is in men, not by criticism, but by constructive suggestion. Parents may accomplish the same results with their children. Criticism will plant fear in the human heart or resentment, but it will not build love or affection. Alright, y'all. I think this will be the end of the book by tomorrow or the end of the week. But you already know, man. Let's get it.
Rex about to make noise. We steady ducking tabloids. Tell Vlad he a snitch. A lot of niggas turn bitch. Fuck is up. Promise you I'm about to fuck it up. We moving too fast, buckle up. Corporate guys, few jugglers.